Yo, yeah, what's going on? Yeah, I'm saying podcast. What's that? I played the wrong beat. I played the wrong intro, so hopefully we don't get cut out from that joke. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, bro?
Man, nothing much, man.
I'm losing it over here, man. What's happening?
Technology, man.
Man,
Technology.
technology, bro, man. It's supposed to make our life easier, but
Yeah,
it's making it harder. You feel me?
because they didn't tell us. They didn't tell us it's a learning curve.
Man, bro, I gotta connect to this and connect to that. Man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotta,
yeah,
gotta learn how to tweak it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. So we're gonna talk about a few things, man. I know the title says DEI, Tennessee State Ignorance of Republican for National, but as always, man, we just talk about anything, man. You know what I'm saying? We deal with politics as it relates to black folks, community. You know what I'm saying? Black peoples. You feel what I'm saying? And then you know what I'm saying, and we go from there. You know what I'm saying? And one of those things that uh 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 what's happening, brother? We good, man. What's happening, man?
Hey,
Um,
hey, what's up, bro?
yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, yeah, old Emmett, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. There's been a lot of stuff going on, you know what I'm saying? Over the last few weeks, you know what I'm saying? One of those things that's been going on is old Candy O, man. Old
Oh
Candace
yeah.
Owens, man. You know what I'm saying? She's trying to invite herself back to the cookout, back to the black culture, the same black culture that she decided to offend. You dig what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? And one of the things that folks need to recognize is that you know, is that when these how black people with money see other black people who don't have in another economic bracket. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? And
mhm.
there's no way she should have been on Joe Budden podcast. There's no way she should have been on, the Breakfast Club, although I don't watch the Breakfast Club anymore.
Yeah.
Um, there's no way she should have been on there. But again, these are handshake deals, sometimes these money exchange deals, you know what I'm saying? Especially in the midst of her getting fired, you know what I'm saying, from a bigoted, I wouldn't call Ben Shapiro racist, but I would call him bigoted.
Right.
Um, news organization under Ben Shapiro. Remind me, she was working for a racist organization
Mm,
as Blaze, under the Blaze organization and TPUSA, which were
mhm.
both racist organizations that put out anti-black propaganda, and she was primarily the face of it. So,
And PragerU.
oh, and PragerU, yeah, exactly. PragerU is a racist organization that put out anti-black propaganda. And she said a lot of bigoted things, man, particularly over the last few years since Juneteenth
Yeah.
been a holiday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Purposely searching out black issues and then going after them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then presenting herself with a black face, you know what I'm saying? While at the same time going after the black culture and black community, you know what I'm saying? Giving a lot of these what's up, Kelvin, man? Hey, you know what's crazy? I just saw Kelvin. He asked a great question to The Rock, which was about the HBCUs going into the UFL. UFL is the XFL and the USFL combining. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? He asked a great question about HBCU talent, man. It was a great question. That was pretty dope. Um, but, like, an individual like a Candace, man, Owens, who's trying to bring herself back into the community, you know what I'm saying? Um, uh, uh, I I find it strange how there are black people like, "No, we need to bring her back." No, we don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
We absolutely don't. We
Yeah.
absolutely don't, man. Everybody can't go.
Yeah.
We have to adopt this mentality that everybody can't go. We have to, as an ethnic group, when we are progressing and moving forward, everybody can't
Right.
go, man.
Right.
Everybody can't go. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Y'all stay back there.
Yeah. Because I think the understanding is even on the Breakfast Club, when you hear Candace Owens or people of like mind, they are their vision of black people are rappers, basketball players, drug dealers.
Come on.
That's their whole vision.
Come on.
And they literally plaster that over the whole entire race.
Yeah.
Um and we have to start understanding the bigotry in that thought.
Mhm.
Um, and that's how like the racist statements come in and so forth. And it's just because they have a certain vision of black people, even though that they may be considered successful black people, but they don't see themselves as the same. And that's the biggest problem with a lot of black conservatives is like their mind is so separated from the group.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And and what you're saying, uh, you know, most folks will listen to you and be like, "Oh man, John, JY is crazy, man. JY is talking crazy. He's talking out his behind. He's talking out his butt." No, 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 no. There's been plenty of people who've written about how black people with money, particularly black people who are quote unquote conservative, separate themselves. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I got a book called Black Skin, White Mask. There's been other books written about black what do they call them? The black Anglo-Saxons. There are other books and other thing. There's data and information. W.B. Du Bois wrote about how, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. E. Franklin Frazier wrote a book about black bourgeoisie, and he's
Mhm.
talking about these black people who have a different, who have money, they're up in the middle class, and they have a different view of black people. There's even a video people can go and watch that was made in the 1960s where these black folk who are upset about black people who are coming to LA, Los Angeles, and they're talking about these groups of black people like they're immigrants, like they're
Mhm.
different groups of people. The same way that we're talking that a lot of racist and xenophobics talk about immigrants who are coming to this country today. They were talking about black people who are going to LA. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing was that most of the folks who were moving to LA that they were moving about knew their parents and their grandparents.
Mhm.
That's what was crazy about the whole video. You dig what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
again, black people move to these areas out of the South during the Great Migration, you know what I mean, based on highways, you know what I'm saying? So people from Louisiana, Texas, maybe Mississippi moved to LA. Folks from Mississippi, Alabama moved to Chicago, Milwaukee. Those folks from South Carolina, North Carolina, and Florida moved to Delaware, Jersey, Philly, and New York. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Based on the highway. So it is, you know what I'm saying? And I said all that to say that an individual like a Candace Owens, um, it was crazy because there was at one point where they asked her. I didn't watch the whole interview because I refused to give her any of my eyeballs. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But I watched clips, and there was one clips where they were saying they were trying to bring her back to the cookout. You feel what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And they were like, "Hey, Candace Owens, God is good." She was
Oh,
like, Yeah, she was like, I don't
Yes,
know.
he is. Yes, he is. No, 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 no. That ain't how it go. God is good. God is good all the time. And
Yeah,
all the time, God is good. You
God is
hear
good.
me?
She didn't even know.
You didn't know?
Yeah, man. And there are people who agree with her who don't even make the connection
Yep.
that if she can't even get that statement right, she's not part of the ethnic group.
Yep.
That she, you know what I'm saying? She put out the White Lives Matter thing with Kanye. Come on, man.
Hmm. Hmm.
White Lives. After that, she made a video that said that she does not want to be part of the black ethnic group. She does not want to be part of the black. She does not want to be. She even made a video and made several commentary of why she married her European husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is we doing? What are we doing? And now she put out something saying, "Oh no, it was the media that made it seem like I did not like my black community." Ma'am,
Yeah.
you're acting like we don't have eyes and we don't have a brain and we don't have an ear.
Right. Right. Right.
Crazy, man. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane, man. You have to be in. You have to be. You again. She's gaslighting us as an ethnic group. Now I don't understand. You know, I made a Facebook post like 2 weeks ago. Like, man, here we go with black folk trying to convince you that Candace Owens is an individual that needs to come back to the community. No,
Yeah.
no, man.
Yeah.
We
Uh,
we are way we are way too free to be
mhm.
to be to be accepting these folks back into the community. Nah, man.
Yeah.
Nah.
Another great book, Black Skin, White Mask.
Boom.
Uh,
Yeah,
another
yeah,
great,
yeah,
another great book.
yeah.
Explains a lot of these details that a lot of black people are suffering. There you go. Are suffering from um a a identity problem,
Yes. Yes.
and they don't find the connection. And somebody, man, somebody was talking about this. Like, they said, they said black people, we created Candace Owens, right? And at first I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. So now I'm reading the article. But then when you start going into the article, it started explaining, and everybody knows this kind of black person somewhere in elementary school or high school or so forth, right?
Mhm.
That he was like the outcast, right? He
Mhm.
hung primarily with the white kids, and he spoke a certain way, um, and so forth, and like you seen black kids, a group of black kids tease this black kid,
Mhm.
not realizing that we are pushing him further away from the group.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And and I'm gonna be honest, right? Even me and my son had this conversation because my son is well spoken, and I hate using that word, um,
Mhm.
because I understand the white, the bigotry behind saying stuff like
Mhm.
that, right? But considered well spoken, blah blah blah, and so forth. So he used to get teased,
Mhm.
and we had a discussion, and like he was deeply angered
Mhm.
by that.
Mhm.
And that was before I came across, this book and this article and so forth, just years ago. Um, but man, when you got into the article, you start to realize that we not accepting, or at a period of time where we had gangster music, so forth, and everybody wanted to be a gangster and so
Yeah.
on, that we was not focused on intellectuals or people that was striving to do better in our group.
We rejected the
We
intellectual.
Yes,
Rejected them.
Yes.
We rejected the Karis ones, you know what I'm saying?
Poor
The
righteous teacher.
Oh, Righteous T. Oh man, PRT, man. God,
Mm,
you know what I'm gonna
yeah,
do? I'm gonna support PRT this weekend. Yeah, PRT, Sister
yeah.
Soldier. I mean,
Muhammadiyah.
I mean, we rejected all this positive blackness, you know what I'm saying? And to accept anti-blackness. That's really what we did.
Yeah.
Um, over the years, you know what I'm saying? And it's manifested itself today. You know what I'm saying? People complain about, sexy red and all this other stuff. Well, you
Mhm.
probably should have turned on more. Man, I remember having this conversation with this one dude, man, about rap music. And this was 2012, 11. This was like 2011 or so. He's like, man, nobody want to listen to all that smart music. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, and this was when battle rap was coming on.
Mm,
And I like listening to battle rap. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I like battle rap. Um, you know what I'm saying? Nobody want to listen to all that smart music. Well, you can't complain about Sexy Red because you
Mhm,
know what I'm saying? Because there is a Rhapsody out there. There is No Name. There is other
mhm,
there is smart music out there. People rejected Common. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Common's
mhm.
terrible. There's people that tell you nah, there are people that reject Nas. There's people shoot. Man, I'll tell you what, man. There's a white dude, and I hate the label, and hate is a strong word. So I truly hate the label of white rapper. You
Mm,
dig what I'm saying?
mm.
Because I think that rap music has no labels. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Particularly when it comes to race. But there's this dude. He's a rapper. His name is Marlon Craft.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? I think I made a Facebook post a few months ago. He should be bigger than Post Malone or any of these other individuals, but because he's a quote unquote conscious rapper, you know what I'm saying?
mm, mhm.
He's not gonna be any bigger than what he is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He is a dope rapper.
yeah.
Dope, man. You know what I'm saying? But again, it goes back to what you're saying is how people get rejected from a community. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You know, based on skin color, based on knowledge, based on we reject these individuals. Oh man, what was that saying? What's the African proverb? The when you a if dang, what's the African proverb? Basically, it says that if you reject an individual, they'll come back and burn down the village just to feel the warmth. Just to feel,
Yeah,
yeah, just to feel the warmth of the other.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what happened to Candace Owens.
The lesson that Blake basically Black Panther was showing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
with
mean? With Killmonger.
Yeah, 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 with Killmonger. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And like we as a group, we have to get it together. We have to get it
Yeah.
together. We have to it doesn't mean that we have to sit back and take in someone who is still in their realm of bigotry.
Mhm,
Whether they're constantly attacking LGBTQ, whether
mhm,
they're attacking immigrants, whether they're like that doesn't mean that we can sit back and say, "Oh, you can still come." No, we have
mm,
to check them at the door and then sit back and say, "Hey, all right, now let's talk about this. You
mhm.
you will have your moment to speak, but I need you to be open to the change that you may need to make to think about others." Because culturally, we always talk about this on our page, right? That we are the most progressive group of people in the United States.
Yeah,
We vote for policies that we know for a fact that will help people,
yeah,
not only just black people. And that's why it's absurd for when people sit back and go after, and I'm gonna say this is gonna be controversial, right? I went after Kamala Harris, right? But
mhm,
then when you think about all of the other things that she had actually done,
right.
to actually help inside of the community.
Yeah.
That one thing that she was doing because there was a structured law that she could not get around because she didn't have the power at
The
that point of
power.
time.
Right. Mhm.
So she had to function on that level
Mhm.
and implement the changes slowly. We have to understand about this process and not jump to criticize, and especially when it comes to, you know, stu black folk when they finally get to power,
Yeah.
because we have to understand that the position that they are in, it's a uphill on what needs to be changed,
Yeah.
and you cannot change it quickly. So you have to work within those bounds. So some of it is going to come across and it's going to hurt,
Mhm.
and some of it's going to come across as it's coming after our people because it was already designed to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm gonna say this last thing on Candace, man, is like, you know what I'm saying? Before an individual like a Candace Owens can be invited back, she gotta do the work.
Yeah.
We are too forgiving as black people. I would
Mm,
say that. One the negative, I will say that that's a negative about our ethnic group.
mm,
We have been given this label, and not, I won't say it's a label. It is in our nature. It is really in our nature to be forgiving.
mhm,
And unfortunately, we are too forgiving, for, not only for people that have harmed us. You know what I'm saying? Candace Owens has, put out messages that have allowed bigots to make, ideological, political, and social decisions, you know what I'm saying, um, about, her own people that look
mhm.
just like her. Whether she's Caribbean descent, or whether, it doesn't matter whether she's Caribbean descent, she's of African descent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And so, and in today's age of entertainment where everybody's connected to their phone and everything is entertainment, um, this is a cultural issue, and this is an ethnic issue to where we need to say, "Hey, Candy, you gotta do the work, fam." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta do the work to say that you are, um, that you truly, understand the harm you have caused to our community,
Mhm,
the harm you have caused to the ethnic group, the harm you have caused, you know what I'm saying? Because the majority of your followers and the majority of people and the people who paid you money did
mhm.
so basically did so based on you being anti-black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we want to invite everybody to the cookout, man. Everybody
Mhm.
can't come to the cookout, fam. They
Yeah.
got they got to do the work, man. They got to do the work, man. They got to do the work. People don't understand that there was 3 white people who died during the civil rights movement. It was a bus that got bombed. I
Mhm.
can't remember what. They did the work. They got
Yeah.
killed for doing the work.
Yeah. They were actually Jewish.
Yeah, yeah, they were Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But my point is they did the work.
Mhm.
We are not asking Candace to do the work.
Yep.
We are simply saying, "Oh, well, you're entertaining us, Candace.
Mhm.
You're entertaining us. And because you're entertaining us, you can come back." Hell no.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, no. And I wish black people, particularly black men, who are out here supporting this nonsense, you know what I'm saying, would understand that.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? Understand that. You dig what I'm saying? And, that's it. That's all I can say. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, man, and I'm a segue because like this is what we gotta start understanding, and what you are actually saying is that we as a culture, as a group, as a racial group, like we have to start focusing on protecting the group. I don't
Yeah.
give a rat's ass if it's P. Diddy. I don't give a rat's ass if it's uh uh um Bill Cosby.
Mhm.
Like we have like Candace Owens. It doesn't matter. We
Yeah.
have to start protecting the group.
Yeah.
And those that are around us that are brothers, brown brothers and sisters and so forth, if they are doing the work, we need to sit back and protect them. It doesn't matter on if they're Jewish, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's about doing the work to make sure that everyone is feeling equal,
Mhm.
everyone is feeling peace, everyone can sit back and strive and have prosperity without trying to be taken advantage of.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's what it's about, man. All right, man. We're gonna go to these the ignorance of Republican voters, man.
Mm,
Um, yeah, man. It is it astonishes me, man. It really does, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? A Republican. One of the things I'm reading this book called White Rural Rage, right? This book
mhm,
is fascinating, man, and it's been great, man. I've been not plugged into news because I've been reading this book, man, and researching this book, man. And basically, what it says is that white people who live in rural areas, they do so and they live separate from the American populace, of peoples because they're anti-democratic, they're anti-government, they are anti social in a lot of ways. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? 'Cause, they live far apart. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
They're anti-black, they're anti-LGBTQ. There are all these anti things, right?
mhm,
Meanwhile, they're living in these communities and they're living in states really to where they are being I'm sorry, to where they are voting for people that are making them poor, sick, and dumb. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? You look at a state like South Dakota, that you look at a state like Wyoming, look at a state like, you know, shoot, I'm trying to think of a state, Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these areas are have decided Nebraska and Kansas. You know what I'm saying? There's a great book I got called "Dying of Whiteness," and it's talking about the Kansas project where um, the majority white rural voters voted for Republicans, and Republicans in a minute are implemented zero taxes.
mm,
They implemented zero taxes, so nobody pays state taxes, and they were like, and then it quickly was like, hold up, our roads aren't getting built, our schools aren't being paid. Like it turned all bad. You know what I'm saying? The Kansas experiment. Look up the Kansas experiment. But anyway, these individuals vote for these individuals, and uh, they, you know, these individuals lived to where they live around or they basically have communities or states to where they experience the economic and social and healthcare despair. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But they're okay with a lot of the despair because in their minds they're like, well, if I'm okay with being having it bad as long as somebody else have it bad. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
Well, you saying like as long as I don't see the cops and they don't bother me, as long as I
yeah,
don't see, like, what I'm saying, like
yeah, yeah.
all of these different things that, oh, I can sit back and burn my trash out in the yard.
Mhm, mhm,
It's a guy that live in our, he lives in our development, right?
mhm,
In a good sized home, but he got a "Don't tread on me" flag, right?
mhm,
And nothing in his mind made him question how can he live in a house like this if someone was treading on him?
mhm, mhm, mhm,
But again, you know where he came from?
Mhm.
He came from one of the poorest areas in the state. And then he brings that mentality into a suburban space where it's nobody that's treading on him. He's living his best life. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I see him out there all the time and get the way, but the point is that mindset of always having a enemy
Mhm, mhm,
is literally stopping them from taking a look at the very party that
mhm.
is telling them through policy that they are not willing to fix their roads, they are not willing to fund their school, they are not willing to sit back and make sure they have health care. They are also want to raise up their retirement age to make sure that you don't even get a chance to get a social security check, that you can work until you die because the average age in America is going down. We lost 4 years
Right.
just in the last 3 years.
And what's driving that is these rural areas. So a lot of so people who live in more populous areas, they experience actually age, they live longer because there's more resources going to more populous areas, which again I try to tell people we're living through history right now because there are black people who are actually moving back to the south, but there are people who are generally moving to more populous areas,
Mhm,
which is along the coast, and there are not so many people living in the middle of the country anymore. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? But within a lot of these states, they have created rural areas, and a lot of these rural areas are experiencing brain drain, which means that as the children are graduating high school, they're not coming back. So that means that the rural area is getting older. So with the
mhm,
rural area is getting older, that means it's dying. So that means that if there's a rural area in Pennsylvania or a rural area in Ohio or here in South Carolina, you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Look at where all the jobs are at. All
mhm.
the jobs are where factories are opening here in South Carolina are not in rural areas.
Yep.
They are in populous areas. They're in Greenville, they're in
Mhm,
Columbia, they're in
mhm,
Charleston. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? They're even here right where I'm at in Sumter. You dig
mhm,
what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying. Sumter's kind of considered I think they're trying to create Sumter a suburb of Florence and Columbia, but that's a
yeah,
conversation for
yeah,
another day. But anyway, they're the middle of the country is experiencing a lot of these economic drains, you know what I'm saying? And so what's happening in these in these rural areas like a Montana or like a South Dakota or a Wyoming or anything like that, uh they are experiencing hospitals closing. There
mhm,
are no I think you were doing that thing, but there are
mm,
hospitals closing. There are no, grocery food deserts. Roads aren't being fixed. There's no, lack of healthcare, you know what I'm saying, jobs, and all of these things, man. Um, um, okay, I mean, you family from somewhere, okay, yeah,
oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Man, you gotta come on down here, man.
yeah, you gotta come on down, bro.
Yeah,
Come on down, man. Hey, yeah, man, you got a place to stay, bro. Just let me know. But anyway, man, you know what I'm saying? And so and that's what this book talks about, man. Like a lot of these rural areas are experiencing all of these economic and social drain, but they're still voting for policies and for people who are, against immigration. Again, there's no data that say that immigration affects against immigration, against black people, against the LGBTQ communities,
right.
anti-abortion, all these things that has nothing to do with maintaining their economic, you know, uh, uh, area and economic sources, much like it did. There's only the majority of farmers that that make up the middle of the country are
Mhm,
it's like 5% when it was like 60% in the 1950s and 1960s or something
mhm.
crazy like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, at the end of the day, you look at people who are Republicans and you're like, what are y'all voting for? right? What is it that you are going to the voting booth and voting for?
Bigotry and hate, man.
I mean, that's it.
Bigotry and hate.
That's
Like it's nothing else on the board for them. And
yeah.
the reason why I say that is because Purdue, um, just the CEO just said that he's going to hire, I think it was like 30,000 immigrants, right, to fill
Mhm.
his job positions, right, across the United States, right. So now the conservatives want to boycott Purdue.
Yeah,
It,
because they had a Purdue plant that
it,
closed in a rural area.
yeah, so,
It closed in a rural area because there's nobody in the rural area. They're not looking at the
they don't want to work.
context.
They don't want to work there.
That's what I'm saying. They're not looking at the
So, so
context of it all.
so they will sacrifice their chicken becoming more expensive to get to a place to complain that inflation is causing chicken to be expensive and never connected to that
They don't
they
connect
are the reason why it's expensive.
the bingo. They don't make the connection. And
So
like it's like, it's like zzz, zzz,
yeah,
but here's the thing, they can't make the connection because in between the connection is hate and xenophobia. Because as long as you hate, long as you don't like this, long as you don't like this stuff because of brown people, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like it ain't because of these other things. No, man.
yeah, yeah,
Like like it's right in your face.
yeah.
It
So
is. It's
so
crazy.
I'm going to segue into to the story, right? Talking
Yeah.
to a gentleman at my job, like usually we don't get into like any other things, but today was a little strange, right? He come up to me, hey, how you doing, man? I haven't seen you in a bit, and I was like, oh man, I'm doing good. It's a Friday, no, nothing can go wrong on a Friday. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, oh yeah, yeah, I hear you, and he paused there for a little bit, and I was like, everything all right? And so he was just like, yeah, it was like, man, I just on my mind, it just America just becoming too liberal. And I said, in my mind, I'm saying, don't engage, don't engage. And then he was just like, these liberal places are turning this country into a place I can't recognize. I'm like, all right, engage. So at this point in time, like I said, well, a little bit of American history. America has never been a liberal country. We have been more conservative than liberal for the length of the whole entire period.
Yes.
We are now getting to a phase where we are pushing more towards being liberal. I said, and that's what you're actually seeing, but we have not even reached the middle yet. And so I pointed out, um, the UK, Ireland, like those places. I said, man, those places actually got a real left wing.
Mhm. Right. Right, right,
We
right,
have
right.
a actual left wing government.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt you here, bro, but that's why I try to point out the people who try to say America's a socialist country. Like, America's not a socialist country because we don't have a left-wing party. We
Yeah,
do not have a we don't even have a left-wing labor party in this country.
yeah,
We cannot be socialists. You just please stop saying that. Please understand.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
and I had to tell him. I said, "Do you realize like Bernie Sanders is still right of the center if he was over in another country?"
that's what I'm saying. Obama was
I s-
still to the right. Obama
yeah,
wasn't a leftist.
and then I pointed out Ocasio Cortez. I said they are still right of all these other places on
Right?
any political measure. I
Yeah.
said, well, no, it's not liberalism that's killing this country. It's conservatism.
Right. Yeah.
Conservatism is harming this country and stopping it from growing.
Right.
I
I mean
said
I mean,
that's good.
yeah. Go ahead, bro.
No, it just trying to get him to understand, and then I had to start walking down policies, right?
Mhm.
And I was just like, okay, let's look at the roads. in South Carolina. I said, this is a Republican led state, right?
Mhm.
I said, well, why can't you get the roads repaired when Republicans have all the power in this state? And then they taxed you more money, and then had had money that they found out that they charged too much on the taxes, and then they kept the money.
McMaster
And
somehow magically found $180 billion somehow.
yeah, yeah,
He
and,
mentioned that the other day. I'm like, "What?
yeah, and
How do you
and
magically
and
find?"
man, and then I'm kind of just walking down and just saying, okay, well, let's let's look at areas like Piedmont and all of these different areas. And I was like, why are they not getting better?
Mhm.
I said because if it was liberal policies, they would look better. South Carolina would look better. The
Mhm.
poverty rate in South Carolina would look better, but that's not the case. I said the case is you got conservatives that fight minimum wage. You got conservatives that sit back and fight to make sure that you have a a private healthcare that drives the cost up and more expensive. You have um, you know, colleges. The reason why the prices went up, thank Reagan. Thank
Yeah,
Reagan for doing it.
yeah.
You want to
Reagan was
say
terrible,
college is too expensive? That's the guy to look at.
man. Reagan, boy.
And I'm just walking it down, and then he kind of pivots to gas prices. And then I had to sit back and point out, well, did you understand that Trump literally had a deal with the Saudis and OPEC to literally cut production? I said simple supply and demand, right? What happens in simple supply and demand when you cut production? He just looked at me. It was just like things become expensive. I said, there you go. I said again, was that liberals doing that, or was it a conservative? And then you just get to blame the liberal.
Yeah,
And I was just like, this is the problem that that is going on, because then I had to go into the problem is the ignorance in the Republican Party of just the education,
man.
just being educated and just reading things and just finding out information.
That was led by Nixon, man. Nixon and the Republican parties in the 70s and the 80s realized that if you attack, if basically if you dumb down, you know, the populace, um, it makes it easier to convince folks to vote to the right,
Mhm,
right? Which is why more people who do not have who only have a high school diploma or GED vote to the right. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm.
Most people who have a college education vote to the left. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is, and the Republican Party realized this in the 70s and the 80s, which is why they've been attacking education. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Which why they took civics out. Civics was the
Yes.
first thing to go when Ronald Reagan went into office, and Ronald Reagan defunded the Department of Education. Well, schools had to make a decision, and civics was the first thing to go. Why was the civics the first thing to go? Because Nixon did not like them damn hippies. And why didn't he like the hippies? Because the hippies were different than their silent generation parents. Hippies,
Anti-war.
yeah,
Mhm,
exactly. They were
mhm,
anti-war. They were like about, everybody equality and all these
mhm,
other things, you know what I'm saying? But by the time you get to 1980, these same hippies, what do they become? They become
mm,
Republican.
mm.
These same folks become Republican. You dig what I'm saying? A lot of them. I won't say like,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
majority, but a number of them become Republicans. You know what I'm saying? Because of power and policy and and things of that nature.
Mhm,
I'm saying,
mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
but you explaining everything that I was explaining, and it really got down to him trying to understand that, um, it's the news sources that you consume,
right.
it's the books that you don't read,
Right.
It's the articles that you don't read
Yeah.
and the information that you just don't take in.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you have to be a like a bookworm or anything like that, because I hate reading books. Because one, I don't have the time to sit there for hours to read a book. A lot of times, man, I'm so on the go all the time that,
Mhm,
man, I gotta
mhm.
sit back and read, and then I gotta move on to something else.
But you're reading something.
But
You
yes,
you're reading something. You're researching something. A lot
yes,
of these Republicans aren't. A lot of these folks who think on the right, they aren't reading or researching anything. They're waiting for
yeah,
somebody to tell them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're waiting for
There,
somebody to
there,
tell them.
there, there was a poll, asking the question of like how many people read articles
Mhm,
or the headlines, right?
mhm,
Man,
mhm,
it was 70 something percent of people only read headlines.
mhm, mhm.
Only read the headline. They don't look inside of the article. They don't because again, this is how you get clickbait.
Right, right,
You
right.
start getting clickbait because these news organizations start understanding, hey, we don't care if they really read the article. We can get paid by them just clicking
Just clicking
on the
on.
article and
Mhm.
just reading the headline and moving on.
And then commenting. They'll comment
Yep.
based on the headline.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll
Yeah.
make a Twitter post, they'll make a TikTok, they'll do all these
Yes.
things based on the headline.
Yes. Because we do it all the time, right? On our Facebook. It's just like, well, did you read it?
Yeah,
Did
did
you
you
read
read it?
it? Did you
Read it.
read it? And every single time we never get an answer on they actually being read.
Mhm.
And it's a real problem because at the end of the day, how are you going to sit back and combat Nikki Haley sitting here wanting to raise the age to 67 and
Mhm.
80% of the Republican Party wanting to do that? How are you going to combat that when you haven't even read anything on why that's important or not important
Right.
or how it can harm you? You
Mm.
haven't even read anything.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
just go along with it.
Yeah, man. That's true, man. You know what I'm saying? And Brown asked about what makes individuals right. Um,
Mm,
when it comes to right wing, when you understand right wing, um, uh, um, in a historical sense, has always been about maintaining the culture or maintaining the roles of society. You know what I'm saying? The right wing comes from Roman society. Roman society was about maintaining the patriarchy. You dig what I'm saying? Although they gave us democracy, Western European folks democracy, and that Western European democracy came over to America. It has always been about the right wing has always been about maintaining culture, maintaining society as it is. It is not about changing it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Hitler was right wing. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Mussolini, when
Mussolini.
Mussolini makes the doctrine of fascism, it is right wing. He's saying in there, hey, in order to maintain an Italian society, you need a strong man. The government needs to enforce what's taught in schools. People need to only vote for the one person, one party. You dig what I'm saying? And it's all these things, and the Republican Party is right. You know what I'm saying? And what I would say about AOC has moved more to the right
Mhm,
now because there is AOC is she's made the calculation that having leftist ideals and policy, right? Leftist ideals and policies mainly empower the people, right?
mhm,
This is where Leninism comes in. This is where communism comes in. Leninism was about communism is about the people. You know what I'm saying? The people being empowered. Leninism really is about was an agricultural. The reason why Lenin had to change and create Leninism from communism is because In Russia at the time, those folks wasn't they weren't they were still an agricultural society. So Leninism had to change the language of communism in order to fit those folks at the time. When communism comes to America, and they try to influence African Americans. The communists at the time, when African Americans was joining the Communist Party, the CPUSA, which Communist Party USA, the communists at the time that were in America were upset with the African Americans because they were African Americans were saying, "Hey, look, we cannot adopt your idea of communism because we have to deal with race here in America. We simply can't deal with just labor, and we still simply can't, mainly labor. We simply can't deal just with labor. We have to deal with a racist society as well." And the communists got upset, and they kind of leave the African Americans to their own devices. And from that, you get the Young Negro Congress, you get the Negro Congress, you get SNCC, you get the Black Panthers. Martin Luther King later calls himself a communist because he's talking with Kwame Ture. You get Fannie Lou Hamer. You dig what I'm saying? And mainly, what made these individuals leftists and what makes Black people leftists is the progress, because Black people, if you go to the 1972, shoot, I don't know where I have that book at. I'm gonna have to shoot from the hip here. But if you go to the 1972 National Black Convention and you look it up and you look at the 10 things that Black people said that, hey, if we were to become a Black political bloc, these are the 10 things that you have to agree upon in order for us to vote for you. One of those things was the environment, it was housing, it was economics. Shoot, I'm blanking right now because I can't see that book. Um, but I'm gonna have to find a book. I'm gonna have to find a book and come back. But basically, it was all leftist policies, which and again, the populist movement in America is formed by Black people coming together with Europeans who could not farm the land. They create the populist movement in order to promote economics, positive economics and social environments for everybody. And so when you understand that, you understand that that there has that an individual like an AOC is to the right of those things, because she cannot influence power. She only can speak to it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's all she can do. She can put out a Twitter, tweet. It's like the who them folks, the fight. They call them the squad. All they can
Yeah.
put out is a tweet. They haven't written a bill. They haven't written most legislation. They're barely in committees. You dig what I'm saying? And so people who actually have leftist power in this country, like a Kamala Harris, that has been able to um, increase Black home ownership,
Mhm.
pass things to help in the opioid crisis,
Mhm.
like a Pete Buttigieg that has talked about roads and how roads and highways were racist and passed and had an economics to make sure there is equality. Leftism is about equality. I could have said all that, but I could have just
Yeah.
said that. But leftism is about equality. If you are not about equality, meaning you do not have the position or the power to give and or grant equality, not equity, equality. Those are two different things. You know what I'm saying? And if you are to the right of that, and your main concern is about immigrants, LGBTQ, all these culture war issues,
And
right?
taking away.
Exactly, taking away, and that's what this book talks about. That's what this book, White Rage, talks about. Is about how these individuals, in these rural areas, these rural white areas, have way too much power in order to take away from everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And I'll land my plane here and say this: that you know what I'm saying. One of those things that Trump likes to brag about is that he got 2,000 more counties like 12,000 more counties than Biden. I got 2,500 counties. Biden only got 800 counties. Well, in those 800 counties that Biden got, there are more people. Land, no, excuse me, land does not vote. People vote. And
Mhm.
so in those counties where there's 2,500 counties that Trump won, well, that's because of gerrymandering, and that's because there's more land, not
Mhm.
people. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so when you have a government that is more focused not on the people, it is always going to be to the right. It is always going to be to the right.
Yeah, one third of the population has more power than two-thirds of the whole entire country.
Yes, yes. That's just a fact.
What it
And
is.
yeah, that's just what it is. And it's because America is a racist country. And because our electoral system is built on this racism, every state gets two senators, gets at least one House member or three
Mhm.
House members or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
A small state like a Montana, there's less people in Montana than there is in Wilmington, Delaware.
Yep.
Delaware is the smallest state.
Mhm.
How does that make sense? That don't make sense. And because the way our Senate is made up, we can't make changes. And because people did not make the right decisions in 2016, well, that led to Trump appointing more conservative judges, more constitutionalists. That
Mhm.
means that they adhere to the Constitution as it was originally written. So therefore, there can't be changes that can be made.
Or
Right. So
or they're interpreted the Constitution the way that they want to.
no, I mean, yes, they're called originalist. So
Mhm.
they interpret the Constitution and they think in the original manner. You know what I'm saying? Based off of the Federalist Papers. You know what I mean? Thomas Paine,
Mhm.
Thomas Jefferson,
Mhm.
Thomas Paine. He never set foot in this country, but he wrote about Americanism, American ideals, and all these other things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so, like you said, there's a third of the country that has more power than two-thirds of this country.
Mhm.
So you have no choice sometimes when you go in like a AOC who went in as a leftist, you have no choice but to move to the right in
Mhm.
order so that there is progress because one third of the country has more power than two-thirds of the country. So a lot of times when people so right now everybody's like, "Oh my God, is Trump gonna get elected? Is Trump?" Yeah, there's a possibility because one third of the country gets X amount of gets so many electoral votes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then
Even though
two-thirds,
they have way less people than.
way less people. Right? And they know the makeup of two-thirds of a third of this country. A third of this country is made up of majority white people who are bigots. They are anti-government,
Mhm.
they are
Mhm.
anti-everything. They're anti-black, they're anti all these things.
Mhm.
You dig what I'm saying? And so
30% of them still believe that the election was, I'm saying, rigged. What I'm saying, that they don't believe that government should be abolished. Like, yeah,
man,
it's all in the polls.
yeah, man. And it's not in the polls. They tell you right
They
up
tell
front.
you.
They
Yeah.
tell you right to your face. Fox News is created to for these type of people.
Mhm.
It was created for these type of people. And we were talking about Candace Owens earlier. Candace Owens made her money basically having an audience for these type of people who do not live around black people. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So because that's what there was a study that was done that showed that black people have at least four white friends or four white people that they know. White people only have one black person or zero black people that they know as a friend. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So a lot and I listen to conservative radio, you know what I'm saying? When I drive to work in the morning, there's this old white lady, she always calls in and
Mm.
she's always talking about black people, this black. I'm like, man, one time I called like, man, this old lady don't know what the hell she's talking about. She don't even around black folk, man. She don't know what the hell she's talking about. You know what I'm saying? She's just going off of what she doesn't read. She don't study no data. She's just
Mhm.
going off of what she believes.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And
And
again,
you sorry, I'm jumping in
no,
here,
no,
but
no, you good.
you're making a point that, and this is where now you got the capitalists that come in, right?
Yeah.
This is where you got the Brian Donalds. This is where you
Mhm.
get the Tim Scotts. This is where you get the
Yeah,
Candace Owens. It's like,
the middle
because
the upper middle class black folks
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
poison
now
off
they're coming in to get the scraps of the money,
man.
which
Yeah, man.
now is starting to actually fall off, and that's why they really got rid of Candace Owens,
I mean,
because
that's
the,
really why they got rid of her.
yeah, the
Yeah,
the numbers were starting to drop.
the numbers were starting to drop. They needed a reason to get rid of
Yeah,
her. People just
yeah,
got tired of the same message. She was just sitting there, you know what I mean? They wanted to hear her talk about and demean black people. And
yeah.
she wasn't demeaning black people and she wasn't demeaning, you know what I'm saying? In this high pace, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, and then the moment she mentioned Jewish folks, oh, they were like, yeah, that's our reason. Get up out of here.
Yep, yep, gone.
Get up out of here. You gone. You up out of
Yeah,
here. Get up out of
yeah,
here,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Even though Shapiro is sitting there saying he won't get on a plane if there's a black pilot. Come on, man.
yeah, yeah,
Jewish.
yeah, yeah. And
It makes
this
sense.
is where it baffles me about
Oof.
black conservatives.
And,
If someone in your group can say something like that,
yeah,
what do they honestly think about you?
yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's a Democrat that used the word jigaboo. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like, yeah, we still know that we know that it's still somewhat of a racist view in the Democrat Party. But are
mhm,
they, when you look at the Republican Party, they're
mhm.
outright saying it.
Yeah,
You know, the whole saying, "Oh, I'd rather to know that they racist than nah, look here, man.
yeah,
Sometime you want them back in the closet."
yeah, man. Get back
You
in.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, like, look, because that's
Mhm,
too much. Because now you're talking about your black kids can be in danger.
mhm, mhm,
The young kid, Next,
mhm,
that just got beat up and killed in a high school bathroom because of
mm,
the rhetoric coming out of the Republican Party about transgender people.
mm.
Kids are picking this stuff up and becoming violent.
Mhm, mhm.
And to normalize that and
Yeah,
to say, "Oh, yeah, this is a party is worth voting for," is insane to me.
yeah. It's like, you saying about kids, right? There was that picture of Jerry Jones when he was a kid, and of course he's sitting there standing around. You know what I'm saying? Those kids were picking up what their parents were saying.
Yeah,
They were picking up what their parents were saying, so they acted violent in a violent manner in a way that their parents would have acted. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Or their parents were saying, when those black kids were coming into those schools and things of that nature. So yeah,
yeah.
you're right. You're right. You're right. It is they the Republican Party understands that again, since Nixon Southern strategy, the Republican Party has realized that they don't have to do any the Republican Party is turning to an autocratic party,
Mhm,
autocratic party, and a
mhm,
fascist autocratic party. Right? They're neo-fascists. I'm sorry, right now
mhm.
because they at least have an opposition. That's why they're neo-fascists because they have
Right.
an opposition with the Democrat Party. You feel what I'm saying? But they're coming an autocratic party because their primary purpose is their business interest.
Mhm.
They want to trickle up the economics, the dollars, and whoever is at that top 1, 2, maybe 3%, you know what I'm saying, that benefits from it, they're okay with it. Everybody else, you gotta survive. You dig what I'm saying? Which is why they want to, make Social Security 69, you know what I'm saying? They wanna push it to 69, and why when they push it to 69 oh, excuse me, you're going to have to they want to basically put your social security in the stock market, so you can have to decide whether you want a new house, a new car, new
Mhm.
iPhone, new
Mhm.
things, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. Yeah, they said the election was rigged when Trump won it as well. I think a lot of that was hyperbolic, man, you know what I'm saying. As Americans, we speak in a hyperbolic language. Now, I will say this. Now, there we know for a fact that
Mhm.
the Russians meddled in our elections in 2016. We know that. That is not something that is a conspiracy theory or anything like that. We know that
Mhm.
Russians. We know that there was low voter participation rates.
Mhm.
Part of that low voter participation rates was driven by operatives who were putting social media out there for on Twitter, creating fake black social media accounts that was telling black people not to vote for Hillary Clinton and things of that nature. So, I mean, whether it was rigged when Trump won, yeah, you know, uh,
Look, we can dispel all of this. There's
mm,
studies, there's court cases, there's
yeah,
everything out here right now that show that during that election, this has been the most secure election that we have ever had
you're talking in 2020.
in 2020.
Yeah, yeah, in 2020.
That
Yeah, yeah,
that was the most secure election that we have ever had, and you're talking about all the way down to the meddling from other countries. That was the most secure
yeah.
that we have ever had. But I have to say, there are court cases around the country that there's not one Democrat voter or Congress member or so forth that has gotten locked up for voting multiple times.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah,
can tell you what, there are Republicans.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
a
There are.
bunch of them.
Yeah. And let me say this about civics, man. Get folk to understand. The office of the presidency is not a kingship.
Mhm.
The president cannot unilaterally pass laws. The
Right.
president of the United States is a figurehead.
Mhm.
All the president of the United States does is sign laws and or veto laws. That is it. Outside of course, getting on news channels, hey, saying, "Hey, hey, this is the state of the union, blah, 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 blah." You know what I'm saying? Of course, stomping for their party, you know what I'm saying? Of course, the president has a cabinet, and I think tomorrow next week. Next
Mhm.
week is when I'm gonna do a civics lesson to get people to understand it is about the Congress. It is about
Mhm.
the let me see. The Congress is made up of the Senate and the House.
Mhm.
If you don't put the folks in the Senate, which again, there are people in the rural areas because of land have way too much power. A third of this country has way too much power
Mhm.
to put folks in the Senate who are anti-government. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the folks in the House right now, you have a bunch of clowns in the House on the Republican side who has done nothing. They've been the worst House in
Right.
about
150 years.
150
Yeah.
years. The
Mhm.
worst. They have not passed any sort of legislation. They went in there in 2022 saying, we're going to address inflation. We're gonna help the American people. We're gonna do all that. They have not done none of that because the Republican Party is a fascist party, and they are not concerned about you as an individual on the federal level. And then on the state level, there are there are states that are fascist state, for example, in Florida,
Mhm.
Tennessee. Tennessee is a fascist state because of what Tennessee did to TSU. They
Yeah.
are a fascist state. They TSU decided, oh, them black people who are part of that Tennessee State University HBCU, we're gonna get rid of them. And
And
who do you think is gonna be
keep in
part of that?
mind that sorry to cut you off again,
Yeah,
but the state of Tennessee kept $2 billion that they owed to TCU.
that's what I'm saying. There are states that owe billions of dollars, states that owes billions of dollars to HBCUs. You need to go back to the 18 the 18 shoot. It's in the late 1800s. It is a bill that was passed that basically said that states will fund the public colleges.
Through
So you
land grant.
yeah, based on land grants, because what was happening was because of course, this is after Plessy v. Ferguson, so this is separate but equal. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So there's a court case like, hey, we need to be funded same way as these PWIs, and they were like, yeah, you know what, y'all need to be funded the same way. But what happened was these racists was like, we're not going to fund the HBCUs. So HBCUs are owed billions of dollars. And
Mhm.
HBCUs, like a Tennessee State University, 2 years ago went and got 250 million from the state of Tennessee, but they're owed more, and that was more thanks to because they had an NFL head coach of their football team, which is Eddie George. You know what I'm saying? That is partially, mainly, I will say, the reason why they got that 250 million. But however, there are states such as here in South Carolina where we got SC State, where we got Claflin. You dig what I'm saying? Where there are other HBCUs, Jackson State University, so on and so forth, that are owed billions of dollars that the state refuses to pay them, but public they will pay that money to other PWIs, primarily white institutions, to a state like South Carolina, so they can build up another here at USC, University of South
Mhm.
Carolina, so they can build up a whole they're building this big old $1 million, it's like 20, $30 million, $1 billion, state of the art, I can't remember what it's called. But they're about to build that. You know what I'm saying? And so, but again, all of this is all of this is because in a lot of these states there are Republicans who are voting because they know that they're okay when government works for me. They don't want government to work for thee.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And they'll show up in their churches on Sundays.
Mhm.
They'll show up in their churches on Sundays.
Yeah, well, we said it earlier in the conversation. The same people that's talking about "Don't tread on me" is going out trying to find somebody they can tread on.
They can tread on, man. It
Like that,
is
just what it
crazy.
is.
Man, it is crazy.
Like I get tired of sitting back having a conversation about whether it's gas prices or something, and then next thing you know, well, what about the LGBTQ? Well, they ain't done nothing to me.
Man,
So what about them? They living their own lives, and like, why are we trying to make laws for against them?
man, bro, that's because I'm learning one of
Ridiculous.
the most hateful groups are Christians, bro. They're the
Yeah,
most
yeah,
hateful groups in this country, man. But once they leave them four walls of that church, boy, that man, they love
yeah,
themselves some Jesus. But once they leave them four walls of church, they do not like the people that God created.
yeah, yeah. You ain't lying. You ain't lying.
They do not like the people that God created. Look, listen, look, it is
Yeah,
crazy. And like, I'm like, man, what Bible is y'all's reading? I
yeah.
like for real. What is y'all's reading? What?
Mhm.
Please show me which. which version of Paul that created the New Testament is y'all's reading. The whole point, the whole half of the New Testament is Paul telling you how to treat your brother and your sister, how to treat human beings.
Yeah.
What is y'all's reading? And they don't.
Forget Paul.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. The moment they stop singing and shouting, that man, the moment
Yeah.
they leave, they hit that car, boy, man, they
Yeah.
turn on some old wrestling ball.
Yeah.
Old wrestling ball, man. I sure do hate them LGBTQ
They taking over our country.
immigrants. I hate them immigrants. God dang, man. It's like, hey, man, I
They
don't know.
taking the jobs that I don't want.
They taking the jobs I want. What jobs you want? What jobs you want? And it's crazy because America has this brain drain policy, right? Which means that we allow Trump's what was his wife name?
Melania.
Yeah, Melania. So
Yeah.
Melania comes over here on what's called an Einstein visa.
Mhm.
That's because America has a brain drain policy. So basically, if people want to be American citizens and they are doctors or scientists, they're very smart people, they can jump the front of the line and they can become,
Mhm.
citizens in this country. You dig what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So, but everybody else, though, you know what I'm saying? We don't care. You pay taxes in this country, and you
Yeah.
know,
And
yeah,
her parents were allowed to also link with
mhm,
her and
yeah,
come
yeah,
over here to
yeah.
become a
They
citizen.
became what do they like to call them? Anchor
Yeah, yeah, the
babies.
anchor babies.
Yeah,
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 yep,
yeah, yeah.
yep,
Her parents became anchors. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
yeah.
Yep, yeah, yeah. They don't like to talk about that. They don't like to talk about them Europeans that come over here, fly over here on planes, and they stay in this country for forever. They don't
Oh,
like to
yeah,
talk about that. You
yeah,
dig?
'cause man, there's videos out there, like, people going down to the border and, like, some people are starting like, you have Canadians down there and, like, Ukrainians and, you know, Jewish people, like, all these other people, and immediately, he was just like, "Oh, I guess they're not talking about this group that's coming in here either." And it was a shock to the video person
Mhm,
because you know, he was American, so, like, white,
mhm,
but, like, he didn't think that there would be other white-like people at the
mhm,
border,
mhm,
and so it shocked him.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, the issue with the black folks in Chicago and New York is that the governor from Tennessee and Florida, right, is actually tricking folks who are legally going through the process and are considered legal immigrants, and they
Mhm.
are being put on buses and being shipped to New York and Chicago, and they are very specifically being shipped to places,
Right.
not necessarily black communities, but places where they don't have as much resources. You know what I'm saying? Which is money. You know what I'm saying? So those communities. So now, you know what I'm saying? Again, the comment is crazy because now again here we're talking about these folks who go to church. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Who are now you have a governor in Texas and Florida that are making xenophobic decisions to ship these individuals to what's called sanctuary cities, and the sanctuary cities are actually doing the Christian thing, actually doing the Jesus thing, which is
Yeah.
taking in people who are who taking in human beings and
Who are
caring.
in need.
Yeah, exactly. But then you get Republicans or people who are right wing, like, whoa, oh, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah,
mean, they are immigrants, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so there are these people who, these people are complaining. Well, I would ask these people who are complaining, well, you're complaining to the wrong. Your focus is wrong. Your focus should be on your state government,
There is a
right?
Bible verse for that too, talking
That's what
about
I'm
immigrants.
saying.
There's an actual Bible verse
What I'm
that tells you
saying.
to take in the immigrant
To take in the
and to
immigrant.
treat him as if he was a part of your land.
Hey, man, but look, man, once these folks get out of this church, man, that's what I'm saying. Once these folks get out of the four walls of that church, they don't care. Once they close that Bible from Bible study, they don't care. They don't care, man. They
Good
do not
Christian on
care.
Sunday between 12 and 4.
Man, man, bruh, man. Yeah, man. Nah, it's not about the taxpayer suffering because again, once again, again, this is based on ignorance because if you understand that these folks who go in and then they will get work visas, right?
Mhm,
They will also pay the state taxes and sometimes federal taxes if they get jobs. You know what I'm saying? And so these folks who enter these cities, they are entering legally. So that means they have work visas. So since they have work visas, they can also get state assistance. You dig what I'm saying? And so they will pay the taxes. So if they go get gas, if they buy clothes,
mhm,
if they simply have a W-2 because they're working at a factory or they're working at a business, they are going to pay taxes. They do not get a tax return.
nope,
They can't file taxes for federal and state taxes. They can't do that.
mm,
They are paying taxes. So I wish a lot of folks who again, I get it, man. You know, you're just waiting for somebody to tell you some information.
mhm,
Research the information before you put something out there, you know what I'm saying, without understanding. You know what I'm saying?
the
Because at the end
process.
of the day, yeah, process, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
Uh uh um uh uh Black people in New York and Chicago aren't they aren't crying. And again, I would point to that most of the folks who are in Chicago or New York who are saying anything are people to are have been in Chicago and New York for decades.
mhm,
Okay, and so and again and it's a certain part of Chicago. So Chicago has been the black belt of Chicago, which has been drained of resources. If you understand that, a certain part of Chicago has been drained of resources. New York is just an overpopulated community. I'm saying an overpopulated city, and so again, I would ask what are these folks crying about? Because these people who are coming there, they aren't taking doctor jobs, they aren't taking manager jobs, they aren't taking high paying jobs. They're working the lowest jobs possible. And also I would ask what job what are they taking from the city that has already not been taken from the city already.
I
Specifically in Chicago, in that area of Chicago, where you have a very progressive mayor there, black mayor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you notice they ain't been much about Chicago since the mayor ain't been a woman who's a lesbian. I'm just saying.
mm, mhm, mhm. Well,
So
I also would add, I would also look into the groups that's leading, um, some of these, city council, what's the name? And see if they're paid plants, because that's
right.
also been going on, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You pay these people to go in with another group of people and make a rah-rah
To be agitators.
to be agitators, and then the
Yeah.
person records it, and then they put it on
Yeah.
the internet.
Right,
And
right,
then
right.
you get a person like brother, it and they will believe that it's majority of Chicagoans or New Yorkers when that's not so. It's a
Mhm.
small portion of people that are trying to rebel rouse. And if you understand the talking points like the black brother in Chicago, so you
Mhm.
already know he's a Trump supporter.
Mhm.
See,
Right.
here goes the trick, right?
Mm.
So now he's trying to raise funds off of doing this
Mhm. Mhm.
for his created organization.
Mhm.
And this is where you have to be careful because it's not natural. They did the
Right.
same thing with the school boards across America.
Yep. Yeah, and I will always say, man, like the one trend that you see when when they show like a town full of black folk, you know what I mean? What about these little, illegals and stuff like that. These town full of black folks haven't asked for investment in their communities either.
Mhm,
They got low voter participation rate.
mhm,
I guarantee you that. They
mhm,
have low voter participation rate, so they don't care about their communities. I'm sorry. They don't care about their communities because
mhm.
they have not made sure that their community can be a thriving community anyway. So now they are in a position where there are other people with power making decisions for their community. And I'll say this: there's no such thing as a black community. Like we need to understand that. There are places where black people live. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
A black community, needs to have hospitals, grocery stores, banks, etc. You know what I'm saying? Uh, 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 um, uh, uh, um, yeah, the Chicago voted for a progressive black mayor, and that black mayor is actually doing a progressive thing, which is providing housing and resources for these immigrants. I don't understand where the confusion is
But
coming in.
it's surrounded around Republican counties and cities, which restrict
That's what I'm
funding
saying.
for the actual city of Chicago. Like,
Right, like Chicago is
ah,
yeah, Chicago is a very progressive part of the outer part of Chicago. Like,
it's
you know
blue in the middle of a bunch of red.
yes, where's the disconnect here? Where's the disconnect here? The
And
the
that
the
red stops the funding from getting into the city that the city needs because it's the largest portion of the goddamn state.
That's what I'm saying, because again, the gerrymandering that has happened in Illinois provides land more power than people.
Mm.
So there's no enough funding coming into the black belt of Chicago. And that mayor that's in Chicago is doing the best he can with the resources that he has. And those black folk and speaking of the south side of Chicago, which has also experienced a love you too, brother. Have a good
Love
night, man.
you too, man. Good night.
Yeah, man,
Mhm.
the South Side of Chicago, which the yeah,
Th-
go read.
and honestly, her, I'm gonna say this. We really do. We say it out of real love, bro. This isn't really to like disparage you and stuff like that. It's really because we know we talk about it all the time. Like you really a good dude. We don't want you being consumed by the people that literally don't really mean the group that well and be used in the same manner. So we want you to be educated and prepared. That way, when you are in those rooms and you still decide to vote those, you also still know how to defend your folk and your people.
Yeah, yeah, much like those individuals in Chicago, man. Like to understand that it's like Jackson, Mississippi, right now. Jackson, Mississippi is they're being attacked by the governor of the state right now because that black mayor who had is decided went to the federal government to go get $600 million to repair the water lines in Jackson, Mississippi. The governor of the state don't like that. They don't like that. I'm sorry, she don't like that. And so they're trying to take away the power from Jackson, Mississippi. It's the same reason they want to take power away from TCU so that the board does not ask, and Tennessee State University do not ask for money
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
order for the Tennessee State to be maintained and funded for the primary purpose of black people. This is why they're doing the same thing in Jackson, Mississippi. They're trying to take away the power from Jackson, Mississippi, from that mayor, so that mayor does not have the power and the funding for black people, for the best interests of black people. in Jackson, Mississippi. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it feeds into the narrative that they're trying to create, right? You
Hmm.
know, um, oh, uh, black people just ain't doing good for themselves, and like,
Yeah.
oh,
No,
you know, they're just not educated. They're trying to make that a reality.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's what they are. I mean, everything. I mean, it's just repeated rhetoric. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Since Reconstruction, you know what I'm saying. Once African Americans become free, once African American men start voting for men in power, it becomes this rhetoric around. They don't know what they're doing. Oh, there's corruption. All this other stuff. Now today, that rhetoric has transformed into DEI. You know what I'm saying? Woke. You know what I'm saying? CRT. You know what I'm saying? They're just finding a new way to say the N word. You dig what I'm saying?
yeah.
That really what it is, and the
Chris,
unfortunate thing, there are black people who are buying into this.
yeah.
That's the
Christopher
unfortunate.
Russo literally made millions
Yeah,
off of
and he
just suing. And
and he put out the plan. He literally
mhm,
put out the plan. The plan was to make it a boogeyman, and people
yeah,
bought into it. You even had black people, particularly the black. I seen something where there was like a black pastor had a whole sermon
wow,
on DEI and why I'm sorry, on CRT and why CRT is like, who
wow.
is this? Now look at his congregation. I was like, okay, that's why.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I see. Now I
Gotta
see why.
gotta get to reading books, man, and
Yeah. Just reading
not
some.
buy into news rhetoric.
Right, 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 right,
Um,
right.
you know, pay attention to the studies. Look
Yeah.
look at actual reporting that have some context of facts, which
Mhm.
means like it's tangible
Right.
um in articles, not someone like Harris Faulkner that's just saying stuff.
It's
You know what I'm saying? Just talking,
yeah.
and they haven't presented anything that they have mentioned as a physical, whether a document or a actual study. They're just saying it.
Yeah.
Elon Musk just did this with Don Lemon's interview.
Yeah.
Like you can't you got to stop listening to these people
Yeah.
and just look it up, read it. Just read it.
Yeah. Read it, man.
You don't have to read it all. You can read as much as you can
Yeah.
because it won't take long to figure out like, oh shit, I'm on first paragraph and what they told me was a bald faced lie.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna take you long.
Yeah. Yeah, there's people putting out that
Mm,
information out there, man. Just real quickly, the last thing I want to go is the National Urban League put out the Biden Harris report. It's on national urbanleague.org. You have to search it by Biden dash Harris report.
mm,
If you go on there, they only have the civil rights report that they talk about. And they talk about democracy and stuff. But there's a lot of good information in there. A lot of good information about the Biden Harris administration and how, despite roadblocks by folks within the Democratic Party, which is Christian Sinema and Joe Manchin, roadblocks by the Supreme Court. The Biden Harris administration have figured out ways to improve black home ownership, get black people to have student loans forgiven. Now they could have forgiven 43 million people, which would have been a bigger
mm,
number for black people. But because of the Republicans like Stephen Miller,
mhm.
um, that didn't happen. Of course, talk about black farmers, maternal health. You know what I'm saying? Reproductive health, prescription drug prices, and how that benefit black people. Um, you know, um, you know, just I
Record
think
record
healthcare.
number of black owned businesses started
Oh
because of
yes,
the SBA,
SBA,
the money from the
NCA, yes,
SBA.
SBA, driven by Kamala Harris. That was
Yes.
Kamala Harris. That was
So don't
Kamala.
say Kamala Harris haven't done anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like that was the student loan and the SBA money for black businesses. was driven by Kamala Harris. And you see that because, even in my area, I see the number of people who have started a number of small
Mhm.
businesses and things of that nature, and that money that has come down. So folks should go check out the National Urban League .org, the Biden Harris progress report. Go check it out, go read it, for yourself, what I'm saying? So you can be an informed voter in 2024.
Yeah,
Saying,
and that's
yeah,
what it's about, bro.
yeah, yeah. The other thing I saw when I saw RFK, I saw Robert Kennedy Jr. I saw Angela Stanton King, she's the
Mhm.
black woman who got free from prison for drug charges from Trump
Oh,
federal prison. She's supporting the Robert Kennedy
oh,
campaign.
yeah.
I was like, oh, there it is. There it is. That's why Republicans are worried.
Yeah, yeah. Look,
He gonna pull the he gonna pull some of the Republican votes.
look, that's why they sent Uncle Tim out
Yeah,
last week to sit back and just out of the blue, sit back
yeah,
and say, "Oh, RFK is gonna pull Biden's vote. That's why they want Biden RFK off the ticket." No, Biden team don't care if he's on the ticket. They actually been trying to fight to keep him on the ticket.
on the ticket because they realize he gonna push them. He gonna get some. I saw it I was like, oh, I was like, okay, like, well, that confirms some stuff for me.
Yeah, look,
They want the Republicans want to get him out of here.
they want
They
to
want
get
to pack him up.
RFK out of here.
Yeah, they know he gonna pull some of them votes, man. It's crazy, man. But yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Any last words, man?
man. Last words that are same thing that we it's sort of our mantra. Just just make sure y'all educating yourselves, man. And don't be so like um to a point where you don't want to hear the information. Just check it.
Yeah,
Just check it. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to get into a place where we are not being anti-intellectual. We
yeah,
need to embrace our intellectual ability to be kind, to be charitable, to want to help people. Like, yeah, to also want to do well, to also want to own businesses, to send our kids to school. Like, yeah, let's embrace it.
yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
embrace it.
Good word, bro. Good word, bro. I think I'll end this say, man, go buy some more plants, man. Plants increase oxygen in the house, man. It allows you to think, man. It increases oxygen to the brain. You know what I'm saying? So you can be able to read and think. You can become a more informed voter. Becoming a more informed voter. That's it. I bought a bunch of plants, mainly because they were on sale. I'm finna go buy another few plants, man. Once that money hit that hit the bank. I'm trying to stay
Man,
on a budget, man. I'm trying to stay on a budget, but I'm like, man, I need some more plants, man. I ain't trying to become a
that should have been
horticulturalist.
cut out and put on TikTok.
Huh?
That part
What's
should have been cut out and put on TikTok
up?
because that was good. That was good.
Yeah, man. Go buy some more plants, man. Go buy some more
Yeah.
plants, man. Just create the oxygen, man, in your house, man. All right, man. We out, man. Appreciate y'all that tune in, man. Appreciate everybody that's going to tune in, man. We up out of here. Peace.
Peace.
Hold up.